What's going on? Welcome back to the Ambition Over Fear platform, a sanctuary for alchemy, magic, advanced consciousness. And really what matters is giving you guys the tools you need to reach states of self-mastery. You know, all these words really don't mean much unless you apply the skill sets that you need to apply to your day-to-day life in order for you to really be surrounded by the energy that actually uplifts you and not brings you down. So the main thing that I could tell you about learning how to pair yourself with energy that really revitalizes your soul and makes you feel every day as if you can get up and be happy no matter where you are, who you're around, or what you're doing. And even if you may not be satisfied in this moment, you can still be in an imaginative timeline. You can use your mind to place yourself within the version of you that exists in a parallel reality that already has everything you wish to experience. So with your imagination, with your mind, you can take yourself away from any position you're in and place yourself into the position where you would like to end up and live from there. And when you're deciding to do that, you're realizing that every single time you have an emotion, how you handle that emotion determines your effectiveness when you're quantum jumping, when you're growing, when you're trying to manifest the life that really makes you excited to wake up in the morning. An emotion is energy in motion. When you have an emotion, what is happening is it is your internal thoughts, the programmed cycle of thoughts and beliefs that you have about yourself and the world showing up in the external world. Now, even though it may not seem external, it still is, because your body is an external representation of how energy will manifest. And the moment you begin to open yourself up to that reality, that your internal world is when you are observing your thoughts and emotions. When you are in the position of your higher self, now you're actually looking at changing the dimension that will eventually manifest into the third dimension, which is how you're experiencing your day-to-day lives. It is very important to feel an emotion, to understand your emotions, and to know when to transmute your emotions. To transmute is to take something and shift it from one form into another. Now, why would you want to do that? Why wouldn't you want to do that? Because you may not know the rewards that you will reap once you take that part of you and evolve it into a better part of you. That growth is really what keeps us going. So that's why I want you to be so enthusiastic about learning these skill sets. And I know you are, because you're here right now. And I'm definitely going to do the best that I can do to make sure that whatever answer you have is answered at Ambition Over Fear regarding the quantum realms. Now, your emotion is a very misunderstood part of you. Maybe not. Maybe you are better at processing and understanding and feeling your emotions than I think. But either way, I'm going to talk and teach from a position where hopefully whatever information I give you can allow you to evolve no matter what level you're on. So in order for us to connect to our thoughts. In order for a soul inhabiting a human body to actually have a personal association with the energy that they tap into is by your emotions. Now, it's very interesting because every single thing you see around you is energy, and energy is consciousness. Consciousness is an open channel that connects every single piece of creation to another piece of creation. Consciousness is how everything is existing in a simultaneous, copacetic manner. The reason why we're on a planet and our soul is projecting its consciousness into a matrix that seems very real is because every single thing that is created around us, that we absorb through our five senses, is connected and communicates all the time. And that is the difference between energy and consciousness, is they're the same thing, but it's just the way we talk about them. Energy is more, it can be from more of a scientific point of view. Consciousness can be more of a spiritual point of view. And by spiritual, I do not mean religion or God. I'm talking about the idea that we are spiritual beings, eternal, higher dimensional entities that are having a human experience. And everybody's soul is at a different level of consciousness. And there are different soul classes. So when you move away from that understanding that you're just a temporary human and you live and die in this body and you either go to heaven or hell, you start to expand and have an idea of what is beyond what I can see. What do I want to know that wasn't told to me? And that is that your emotions are your superpower. Your emotions allow you to create a somatic, which is a body's effect. Your emotion creates a connection between your thoughts, your consciousness, and the body. And our consciousness comes from our soul, because when you get into a more practical understanding of how to travel different dimensions of consciousness, now you realize that the place where you're tapping into, that is called consciousness, your higher self, is truly your soul. So every single thing you tap into, all the energy that you align with, is only possible because your soul is a control point at which you experience different parts of the universe. So your thoughts come from your soul. Now, your consciousness itself and your soul, in order for it to have a buffer, when your soul projects its consciousness into a body, there has to be a tool that can tap into consciousness and the 3D realm, including the body. And that tool is the mind. So whenever you have a thought or an emotion, it's really you pulling down an energy from the universe that is not yours, but then you identifying with that energy because you're feeling an emotion in your body connected to your ego. Because in reality, everything is one. We are all connected. Every form of energy you see is simply just another representation of the universe manifesting itself. When we have a thought or emotion, we're actually, as a body, we're using our soul to tap into energy that is in the collective consciousness, which is a cloud that uploads and downloads information to anything living on this planet. We pull in that information and we associate that frequency to ourselves through emotion, because it's personal to us. So the 4 steps of transmuting your emotions is this. 1, I want you to move into a position where you understand that an emotion is a unique presentation of an isolated frequency. The universe is energy vibrating at different frequencies, so when you're tapping into an emotion, what you're actually doing is pulling in a specific energy from the collective consciousness, which is a cloud that covers the entire earth and keeps everything connected under the same matrix. But you're bringing that frequency in, and the only way your human body is able to experience that frequency is through an emotion. So understand that if you were to go into a zoo, this is the metaphor that I always use. If you go into a zoo and you look at every animal and you're able to see the beauty in the very empowering, gentle animals such as the giraffes and the seals, but then you go and you look at the lions and the bears and you still see beauty. So can we move into a position where we see beauty in every emotion that we experience, the same way that we see beauty in every animal at a zoo? The only difference between the zoo and our emotions is the animals that seem scary. The parts of the zoo that seem like they're dangerous or disempowering are behind the glass and they can't touch us. So what if I were to tell you that you can experience your emotions on the other side of the glass? You can be the person watching the animal, and you can be the animal itself. So step one is being the animal, using the divine feminine, which is really harboring a type of energy within that allows you to receive more. The divine feminine is being able to be present and to see unconditional love for every single thing in this realm, in this universe, in your experience. The divine feminine is not action, it is presence, understanding, and appreciation. So appreciate your emotion, appreciate the fact that you can go to that depth within yourself, because most people shy away from their emotions, and that is why they may be leading a life that doesn't feel too powerful, because your emotions is how you handle the energy coming through the higher realms into your body. It translates, and then you feel something. That feeling is an emotion. So appreciate the emotion and go into the intensity of the emotion so much that you literally get engulfed by it. And when you're doing this, I want you to then imagine as if you're leaving your body or you're going to a place outside of your body. That space when you're meditating that lets you know there's something else beyond what your five senses can pick up on, and observe your body and observe the emotion and find the honor, find the power in your soul observing the emotion from a neutral, non-judgmental point of view, and being grateful that you have the capacity to feel that. Okay? Now, step two comes from the divine masculine, and the divine masculine has to do with a practical understanding of why things are the way they are and how to make things work better. The divine masculine on earth has to do with the action. It has to do with purpose and effectivity. The divine masculine is applying logic to every situation, so you can understand the moving parts, the engineering of why something exists. And truly the only reason something exists is because something is created in one dimension, and that particular dimension controls a dimension below it, and that energetic composition goes from one dimension into another, and energy becomes matter. All right? So step two is you understanding, why are you having this emotion? What thought, what belief, what experience happened to you for you to be feeling this way? Whether it's disempowering or empowering, the process of emotional transmutation is important for anybody. So you get an understanding of why you're experiencing that emotion. Now, you may not be able to trace the breadcrumbs in your mind and the neurological pathways backwards for you to understand what thought, belief, or experience has created that emotion. You can actually do this, and you can ask yourself, what would make me feel this emotion? If you can't reverse engineer and explain to yourself why something happened, then you can re-engineer it and go, okay, if I don't know why this emotion happened, what would make me feel this emotion? And your brain is a computer, so the minute you ask why for something, it gives you the answer. And if you can't ask why, then you present the answer and see if the question pops up. So understand what created the emotion. What part of your internal world is festering and needs awareness? Needs awareness to a point that your soul seems fit to interject your life with a huge empowering or disempowering emotion long enough for you to be aware of something inside of you. Now, this is not only if you're wanting to transmute a negative emotion to a positive, but it's also if you're wanting to transmute a positive emotion into an even more positive emotion. There is no negative or positive, but I have to use these words to get you guys to neurologically connect to the way you may have been raised and to the way you're going to raise yourself in the future. You're moving now, and it really means empowering is positive and disempowering is negative. Understand why something is happening. Understand that every single thing in the external world is simply a representation of something going on in the internal world. And whenever an emotion happens outside of you, it is really just an opportunity for you to get to know yourself more, for you to get to know, what has happened to you throughout your entire life to create an egoic pattern of thoughts and emotions and a character that you may have been playing. It's giving you a chance to appreciate the whole process. Now, step 3, I want you to ask yourself, when you have an emotion, empowering or disempowering, and you're using this process to get to know your emotional body more, to get to know your emotional intelligence more, and you find out what has caused you to feel a certain emotion, I want you then to ask yourself, how can I take this particular emotion and use it for good? Now that I know this internal part of me has created this external manifestation in the physical plane, now what you can do is move into a better understanding of what are you going to do with this awareness now. What are you going to do with the awareness that you may have a belief that creates a reoccurring experience in your life that makes you feel a certain way? Well, look at that belief, and if we're talking about a disempowering belief that creates a disempowering emotion, what you would want to do is allow yourself to be in that moment, and that disempowering belief is trying to initially show you that there is a part of your internal world that needs to be recognized in order for you to grow from this point forward. And if you're looking at a disempowering emotion and then you find the disempowering belief that's creating all these experiences that make you feel the emotion, then you have to initially ask yourself, what is the opposite of that belief? So if your disempowering emotion is being frustrated, feeling like you are not good enough, and then you trace that back and you ask yourself, what experience has happened to make me feel disempowered and not satisfied and kind of resentful of myself? And I'll use myself as an example. I have felt in the external world an emotion that really came in at a feeling of being disempowered, feeling frustrated, feeling like I wasn't good enough. And I kept asking myself, what continually would make me feel that? And then I went, oh, it's me not doing enough work, me perceiving that I'm not doing the best that I can do with my creative projects, me perceiving that I need to be doing more and I'm not doing enough. And I traced that back further to my negative belief, and the negative belief was that I wasn't good enough for success, that I'll never be good enough. So I was manifesting experiences where I would create thoughts, and even though I may have been working enough and putting in enough energy into my projects, that belief would frame any experience to prove itself. So then I'd take that negative belief and I'd switch it, go to the exact opposite of, instead of feeling as if I was not good enough, feeling as if every single thing I did was good enough, feeling as if me existing on this planet as a soul inhabiting a human body was enough, that I can enjoy my five senses, that I have conquered what I have conquered so far. I started being grateful and proud of myself. And then also, you know, if you are having a positive emotion and you're looking at what experience has created that positive emotion, right? And then you trace the experience back and you say, what would I have to believe in my mind to have created this series of empowering experiences? And that would be your positive belief. Now, in that case, transmuting is simply carrying it forward and expanding upon it. It's embracing it. It's solidifying what is already working. Sometimes it's not always about, you know, tearing down the old and building the new, but building on what is already working. Okay? So use that. Understand that when you have an emotion, it comes from an experience that you're having. And that experience really is manifesting because you are the creator. You are your soul that's streamlining energy into the reincarnation of you as a body. And what you're doing in that position is you're actually allowing your soul to run energy through your body that can translate into the level of energy that you have set within your DNA and subatomic particles based on where you have grown in your consciousness and how high or low is your frequency in your spiritual practice. But that's a video for a whole different day. Understanding that is really important, because when you have an emotion, you can understand this is an external representation. I feel something in my body as I'm walking around. I call it external because your body feels it and it reverberates all over your world. That's why I call it external. And that emotion is happening because you may have had an experience that's creating that emotion. That experience may have manifested because of a belief you have. So if you're wanting to continually have good experiences that you have had that are making you feel good emotions, now you know that is a part of you you're going to want to carry forward and keep close to you and continue to reiterate your association to. If you're having disempowering emotions and experiences that you would not like to continue having, now you know that you're going to have to take that belief, the seed that is creating that life, the part of you, the energetic part of you that is creating that manifestation, and change it. Now, step 4 is, I want you to understand that when you're feeling onto an energy, Okay? When you have taken your disempowering beliefs and transmuted them into empowering beliefs, or you have taken your empowering beliefs and realized that you would like to continually have this empowered belief because it created the best experiences you've had in your life so far. Now you have an understanding of an emotional energy you prefer to be in. Now you get an awareness of how to empower yourself is by realizing that you are in control of everything going on as long as you understand what to do with what is in your hands. It's in that moment where everything begins to become a lot more clear. So when you're having an emotion and you're deciding to transmute a level of dissatisfaction in yourself, a belief that you're not good enough. This is just me using my life of what I've gone through to give you an example. When you're using that process and shifting the disempowering belief into an empowering belief, or an empowering belief into an even more empowered belief, and you get an understanding of an emotional frequency you would like to be in, then I want you to realize that whenever you feel that empowered emotion, now that you understand what an emotion is, that it is simply, it is the seed of life in your third dimensional body. It is the one reason why your soul can connect into your body. It is how your thoughts translate into feeling, and feeling is energy moving. Now, thoughts also energy, but an emotion has a much higher vibration. So when you're feeling onto that emotional vibration, and this is step 4, I want you for a moment to remove your association with this emotion. Remove the idea that you're either empowered or victimized by this emotion, and feel the energy. Sorry, my crystal dropped. Feel the energy of that emotion so much that you're able to harness the electricity. Because when you feel an emotion at such an intensity, what you're doing is you're allowing yourself to feel an intensely vibrating thing and view it without judgment or blame long enough for you to admire what it is. Vibrational is not what you think it is. High vibrational doesn't mean positive. Low vibrational doesn't mean negative. Vibrational just means a more intense energy, a more advanced energy, a more powerful energy that can be felt more in your body. So that's the most important part when you're moving into that space. And when you isolate that high, that intense emotion, when you're reading the energy on a chart, an intense emotion, a highly vibrational emotion just means that the energy waves of that emotion are much higher than a low vibrational emotion, which has smaller energy waves. You take that emotion, you isolate the vibration, and then you apply it into what you would like to manifest. You apply it to the version of you that you imagine that is living in a parallel reality, because every time you imagine, you're simply navigating the quantum field. Your imagination is how your mind connects to the universal mind. So everything you imagine is real. So take that intense electricity that is coming from the emotion, remove your association to the emotion, and direct that energy by feeling into the intensity, and then right afterwards thinking of that manifestation or the parallel reality you would like to jump into. And that is how you use the intensity of an emotion to help you manifest. But that's also how you transmute an emotion. So you can understand how to move from disempowering emotions to empowering emotions, or empowering emotions to even more empowering emotions, The whole reason you come onto my platform is so you can grow and expand. And I'll see you later for more growth and expansion.